Silver was peaceful and tranquil on this Thanksgiving. However, the next day, everything changed. I'll fill you in on what went down and what's in store for us as we continue our exploration. Music. Since the U.S. markets were closed for the Thanksgiving holiday, silver had a peaceful day. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. The journey for silver has been quite intriguing, I must say. The fact that silver has remained relatively unchanged is, in fact, excellent news. I was hoping that other markets would have a pullback and some profit-taking during the night and into the trading day, but alas, that has not transpired. Overnight, the price of silver almost reached $54 per ounce, a very significant jump. That will be covered shortly. Summit Metals is a fantastic location to increase your personal fortune, and I want to thank them for that. That is the essence of Summit Metals. By the way, they're not your average bullion dealer. A variety of services are offered by them. Plus, a real person is available to take your call regarding your precious metals. See for yourself how fast their shipment is and how wonderful their customer service is, regardless of whether you're a buyer or a seller. Now that we're on vacation, what's happening with silver? In the 18 months since Russia's President Putin hailed the U.S. peace plan for Ukraine as a genuine proposal, silver prices have been on the rise this week. On Thursday, they tested last month's dollar-term all-time high and are getting close to the most valued against gold bullion. Thus, that is quite interesting. Additionally, it is remarkable to note that the prices of both silver and gold continue to rise. Our second consideration is copper's status as a basic metal. Crude oil continued its ascent from Tuesday's 5-week lows, while predictions of a worldwide supply and demand imbalance in 2026 retreated from new 4-week highs. Because of this, it's probable that people will try to mine copper, which contains silver as a byproduct, and silver. Well, fresh efforts to increase the market supply of silver may begin to materialize. Even while gold has had a far more dramatic performance, silver has made more substantial gains without receiving the same media attention as the more famous precious metal. Reuters reports that one of the most popular news websites in the world has predicted that the price of silver would reach $54 per ounce within the next 10 cents per troy ounce, before fixing in around $53.35. In London's lunchtime trading, it was about 50 cents below than October's all-time high. Here we are looking at the current price of silver, which is $53.36. As of this writing, the market in London had ended at $53.95, pretty near to the mark of a triple top, down just 4 cents from the previous trading day. A triple top would clearly peak above $54.50, and we saw a double top as well. At the time this video was being recorded, we are 55 short of that. With gold bullion trading near $4,150, the markets ended relatively quiet in London trade. The gold to silver ratio is currently approximately 78, thanks to it. To be more precise, it's 73. In other words, it's 2 ounces lower than our average of 80. By the way, I find it thrilling to observe how the silver stands out here, demonstrating its strength. Truly remarkable, I must say. The silver here is mostly corroded in various places and ways. For a while now, I've let this item sit on my desk, fading slightly. Silver tarnishes, but does not rust or corrode. Even the tarnishment has its redeeming qualities. On other occasions, it is not like this metallic spitball. This is where it gets very ruined. It appears somewhat unclean, but that is not the case. There's more toning on it than that. And I'd really appreciate your opinion on whether I should dip it or attempt to restore its brilliance by removing the tarnish. Please tell me in the space provided below. You can find a link to Summit Metals' website in the description below if you're interested in purchasing one of these, as their stock is reducing to less than 50. A brand new, pristine one will be yours. It is impervious to stains. That bullion merchants take such extraordinary measures to prevent the tarnishing of silver is, well, pretty astounding. That is, in fact, a part of being a deal maker. All of the new fresh silver is guaranteed to be yours by them. Oh, absolutely. Much of the oxidation that occurs organically. To be honest, I'm not really a fan. It gives it more personality in a way. The stock market crash that followed the April trade tariff announcements caused gold's relative value to silver to soar this spring, but that was before the safe haven metal's value spiked. Outside of debut, the ratio would never have risen above 100. Adrian Ash says that we are currently in the midst of a global economic recession in 1992, and the COVID pandemic reached 126.1. I plan to discuss this and other market developments in a future video, but for now, I will just say that the fourth quarter is traditionally the busiest time for solar installations, according to Bloomberg. I'll leave it at that. However, when we consider the current state of geopolitics and the U.S. peace plan overall, we come to the consensus that this can serve as the foundation for future agreements. President Putin of Russia reportedly told reporters during a press conference in neighboring Kyrgyzstan that Russia is still aiming to seize parts of Ukraine that are not currently under Russian control. Moreover, Euroclear, a securities deposit and depository based in Brussels, opposed EU proposals to seize frozen Russian assets in order to fund Kyiv's military. When Ukrainian soldiers withdraw from the areas they now control, hostilities will end. If they don't, we will achieve this by military means, Putin continued. The situation is still delicate and fraught with uncertainty. The outcome will depend on how things play out. However, politics, whether at the national or international level, will influence market circumstances, or at least how the markets perceive them. That is, how they respond to events that cause them to be more dramatic than they ought to be. In the silver market, overreaction or underreaction can have a significant impact on the price. That being the case, we will be closely observing the subsequent events. So, what would happen if next week we heard that Russia and Ukraine had reached a tentative peace agreement? As for the price of gold and silver, I believe it will fall as a result. Though I don't expect it to have a huge impact, there are still a lot of fundamentals at work. I do believe it will have some kind of influence, and it may be part of the story behind the slight decline in gold and silver prices. Just so you know, palladium and platinum are both members of the platinum group metals. There has been zero movement in the price of rubidium today. Still, that's the silver market we're targeting. As we observe these markets making almost no movement today, it's interesting and captivating. As we enter what will be our 9th trading day, a relatively calm day would be ideal. By the time you include in the 9th day that the London and Asian markets have opened above $50 per ounce, we will have tied for the record. If silver maintains its current upward trajectory and stays above $50 per ounce, regardless of whether it retraces and falls 336, now we can celebrate yet another milestone for the metal. For what reasons is this crucial? This is significant because, as an example, $50 for silver is a very powerful psychological threshold that, according to certain analysts, we did not officially cross in 2011 or 1980. While it did temporarily surge over that on both occasions, regardless of whether it's a futures market or not, the spikes were quite brief. Definitely not for 9 or 10 days. I think it would be great if silver could stay above $50 per ounce for at least another 10 days. In my opinion, that $50 is crucial, so we will be watching the silver market and its price action over the next 24 hours. The longer we go without seeing it below $50, the more likely it is that silver's current level of support will be broken. The same could be said for gold as well, given that it is currently trading at over $4,000 per ounce, which is why I don't mention it very often. That is, in fact, fairly important. However, despite adjusting for inflation, the price of gold has remained continuously high. Currently, silver is trading below inflationary highs, but there is still a lot of space for growth. For the time being, we are largely above nominal highs. This time, we're going dangerously close, but unfortunately, it will be another $20 before it trades above its all-time highs. Although $20 may not seem like much now, consider that only a short time ago, an ounce of silver cost $20. Therefore, bear that in mind. It all becomes clear when we consider that gold prices can rise to levels that are far higher than silver's actual market price in a single trading day. Thus, some silver stackers have been irritated by that, but I say stay the course. Stay loyal to silver, stay strong. Silver will have its day in the sun. Indeed, it is enjoying itself. It's performing admirably. Have a core stack of silver that you cling to tightly no matter what. All right, people, you cling on tightly. Having diamond fists instead of silver is like that. Oh, absolutely. And with that, I leave you. Tell me what you think about today's silver market. It was a peaceful celebration. Silver and you, the viewers, are both things for which I am grateful. Now that I've gotten everything out of the way, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate it when you hit that like, share, comment, and subscribe button. Music and music.